Welcome back to Superstarglam. In today's video, I am bringing you a review video on the new L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation. But before we jump into the demo and my final thoughts, if you have not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and click the little button down below and join the Superstarglam Squad family. Also, while you're there, click the little notification bell so you are alerted every time that I upload. And now on to the demo. I'm just moisturizing as I usually do. I want to try it the way that I normally moisturize and prime. So I'm going to use the Cover FX Blurring Primer. And I don't have any skin issues, so my T-zone isn't as, hasn't really been oily, and the areas around that are usually dry, which is around the nose and around the mouth area, hasn't really been dry, so it's all been kind of normal, I would say. So let me look up the claims before I get started and see what we are looking for. Honestly, I just picked it up because I saw that it was new, and so far at this point, all the Infallible line that I've picked up, I have the Pro Matte and the Pro Glow, and those two are like my all-time favorite drugstore foundations. Like, they won't do me wrong. So it says, be unstoppable, introducing L'Oreal's breakthrough longwear foundation with breathable skin technology. Infallible Fresh Wear 24-hour foundation provides medium to full coverage that lasts all day, allows the skin to breathe. The formula's the 3 oil absorbers resist sweat, water, and transfer. What? The ultra-thin liquid goes on smoothly to give a fresh, healthy-looking complexion that lasts. Color stays true and blends in evenly, so your makeup looks fresh all day. So it says it's medium to full buildable coverage foundation with a natural finish. So I am not the type to build up my foundation to full coverage. I just don't like that look. But for this purpose of the wear test, I'm going to apply it full coverage and see how natural it really looks. I'm also going to attempt to do one half of my face with a sponge and then the other half with a foundation brush and see which I like better. I got mine in the shade 465, which is Sand. So this might work, but it was more on the neutral side, which is where I like to be. So I'm gonna shake it. And oh, and I also love the fact that they upgraded the packaging. It is a glass container with a pump. Ooh, it's really runny formula. It's running fast. I could feel it dripping. Oh, okay. So I did 2 pumps. Little by little, I'm gonna build it up. This side with the sponge. Okay, looks like it's a good match. I'm not sure if it's my sponge that smells good or if it's the foundation. This would be what I would consider medium coverage because my skin's still peeking through, and this is what I would prefer. Yeah, it definitely has what it states, a natural finish. because even though it did provide coverage, I still feel like my skin looks skin-like, or my face looks skin-like. So I'm going to apply the rest on this side. I still feel that in order for it to be full coverage on this side, I still could go in with another layer. So far, I really like how it looks compared to this side. And then this side, I don't know if you can tell, and hopefully you can, and my lights aren't really washing this out. So I'm going to apply one pump for this side because it is with a brush, so I'm assuming it's going to be more coverage. And I'm taking the Morphe M439. Usually this is the brush I use. You know what it's kind of reminding me of? Like the consistency of the Makeup Forever Face and Body Foundation, the water blend. It's just as runny. It almost smells the same, except that the Makeup Forever, I feel, is a lot more sheer. This one definitely has more coverage, but it does feel lightweight. Like it almost feels like a BB cream. So I'm mixing, stamping, and swiping motion, especially my nose. I feel like I'm seeing texture from the brush. I have a really hard time having foundation stay on my nose. I feel that with the brush, I mean, it's obvious that with the brush, it's going to apply more of the full coverage than with the sponge. But I'm also liking the finish that the brush is giving me than the sponge side. It's like it did a really good job in pressing it into the skin, giving it more of that natural skin-like feeling. And here on this side, I feel like it's still kind of, I mean, it still looks nice and it still looks natural, but it still kind of, when I look up close, I still kind of feel like it looks like it's on top of the skin just a tiny bit. It did work better in covering my nose area. I can kind of see more coverage on this side, on like the nostril side, and on this side it's a little more sheer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply one more pump, but this time I'm going to apply it with the foundation, and I'm going to blend it all over the face and see what full coverage looks like. Okay, so again, I'm not one to like full coverage foundations, but surprisingly this doesn't look bad at all. Like I still feel like it gave me really, like it just doesn't feel like I've applied a mask. Surprisingly, it's not looking bad around the nose area, so I still don't know if it's gonna move. It actually looks nice. I feel like I would wear this foundation as an everyday foundation. Now it does have SPF 25, which probably means it will have some flashback, but as like an everyday foundation, to look this nice and this flawless and so lightweight, because even though I've applied so much, I've already applied so much foundation, I still feel like my face just feels moisturized. I'm gonna go in with the Infallible Pro Glow concealer. This isn't my favorite, but I've been using it. It is lightweight. It's in the shade Creamy Natural. Sometimes when I apply concealer, sometimes the product lifts and I see that problem sometimes even on my, especially on my nose. I'm going to go in with the Rimmel Match Perfection Silky Loose Face Powder. And I'm going to use that to set under the eye. I'm going to lightly set it because that's what I would normally do anyways, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to take my Charlotte Tilbury powder. So obviously setting it with powder eliminates that sheen, that glow that it was giving us. I would only just suggest that I'd be careful with what powder I would set, especially if you're using this as a full coverage, because the Charlotte Tilbury is like the most finely milled powder that I have that doesn't weigh heavy on the skin. It just sets the foundation really nicely. Like a heavier powder would make it look like I caked on some foundation today, which I don't like that. But all it's giving me is more like a mattifying look, yet it's still pretty lightweight. It doesn't look bad. I think for me the real test will be the nose area, because that's usually where nothing stays on my nose eventually. That's the first place where it fades off. So that's why I don't always put so much foundation. I think that even when I try to do full coverage, that's always the problem area, the nose area. So we'll see how well it holds up on the nose area. Everywhere else, I think I normally don't have a problem with. The around the nose, it actually does not look bad for the amount of products that I've put on. So I'm gonna slap on the rest of my face and I'll come back and chit chat about this foundation. Now that I have completed the entire look, I went away from this setting. I went into my bathroom because I was doing my hair, and I was looking closer in there, and I could tell you that my face looks flawless, and it still doesn't feel heavy like I'm wearing any. Even after I've applied the powders on my face, I still feel nothing. Like, yeah, nothing heavy, nothing. Like, I would really think that all I'm wearing is some moisturizer, just from the feeling. Sometimes I can also feel it building up here around the forehead, like where I kind of have like a bit of like little lines going on in there. So the foundation usually settles there, and I feel like it makes me look older because it's emphasizing those lines instead of blurring them out. The only thing that I wish I would have done was gone in with a fuller coverage concealer, because I feel that the concealer I used was too lightweight and not giving me like that oomph, that extra coverage underneath the eye like the foundation is. But that's pretty much about it. There's nothing going on or settling on any of my problem areas. The around the nose area, it's actually looking not bad. I mean, I could kind of see when I move around, I could kind of see like the little cracks that happen in there, but I don't see where the foundation is gathering, where it's building up in there, like separating everywhere else and then kind of moving in that direction. I don't see it doing that. As far as my nose, it is really covered at this point. But again, in terms of long wearing or wearing it towards the day, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue wearing this throughout the day. I'm going to insert footage throughout the day of how it wears, but my initial thoughts is that this is a really good lightweight full coverage foundation, buildable from medium to full coverage, so you can definitely wear this as an everyday. I would totally wear this as an everyday foundation. It's not doing anything weird. It's the perfect tone. It didn't oxidize. It worked really good with all the other products that I used. The primer so far, everything has worked really, really well. Everything sits on the skin and blended out really, really nicely. Unless my thoughts on this foundation change, I totally recommend that you go and get this. It is retailing, I think, for $14.99. And again, I love the packaging, the glass container, and the easy pump dispensing that they added to this foundation. Yeah, so I guess I'll just check in later on, and hopefully this still looks as good as it does right now, if not better. I forgot to say what time I applied the foundation. I'm gonna say it was probably like 10ish. So this is what it's looking like. See, it doesn't look bad right here. It's not settling into like my laugh lines. And here too, this is where I also feel like I have problems. And it doesn't look bad. Oh, and the time right now is 2:30, well 2:27. So I've had it for about 4 hours. And again, it does not look bad. Yep, so far so good. So I'll check in a little later. Okay, so it is now almost 6. So I've been wearing this foundation for 8 hours. And honestly, it's still, let me bring you in a little closer. Oh, you can see all my texture. But this is reality. Also, you can see the mark here where I'm missing a chunk of foundation, but that's from my glasses being there. My nose though is still, it still has foundation. That's like amazing. The only place that I can tell that if I was truly oily, I don't know that it would hold up as good as it is right here on this edge. It could kind of see that it wants to like separate, and it's a lot oilier there, but it could also be that I may have dragged the sunglasses and maybe messed it up. Over here it didn't move at all. Based on what the results that I've seen, this is a really good foundation. There's nothing that they claim that hasn't really done, except for the fact that 24 hours, I don't know. I'm not gonna wear it for 24 hours so far. Seriously gives me really nice, flawless results. But anyways, that was it for my checkup. I'm probably done. I honestly waited as long as I could. It didn't do anything that I was disappointed about. If anything, I was pretty impressed. I hope you enjoyed this foundation review video. Please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will see you next time. Bye.